Hello everybody and welcome to another puzzle challenge video with chessuniversity.com. This is Ryan Murphy and we are on to our intermediate puzzles for the week in terms of difficulty, and today we have a game played on chess.com in the Blitz tournament played between Grandmaster Murad Diabati and an 1800 level player with the last name of Siva Kumar. A couple months ago this was played on the website, and here it's white to play and deliver checkmate in the fastest way possible. So white to play and win. There are multiple things which win, but we're looking for the fastest, most direct way. So hopefully you guys can spot it. I will put a link in the description to the official page where you can find the puzzle post, and where if you make a comment with your solution before we put up the official solution post the following day, you can get reward points credited towards your account. So hopefully you guys will check that out and give it a go, and hopefully you can solve the puzzle. And as always, I'm going to go to the beginning of the game and show how the game developed up to this point. This game lasted 34 moves in total, the 34th move being the one White's next move from this position, after which Black resigned. And let's quickly recap how the game went. So this game started off as a Slav defense. Knight b to d2, bishop to f5, knight to h4. This is a kind of tricky sideline. Bishop e4, queen b3, challenging and trying to hit the pawn on b7. Black responds with queen b6. Then white grabs the pair of bishops, and we get this structure where black has doubled b pawns and doubled e pawns, and white has a bishop pair. Black has some compensation down the a file, but in general, pretty easy position, I guess, for white to play in a blitz game. Knight f5 played, e6, knight to e3, bishop to b4 check, bishop d2. Black swaps off one of white's two bishops, and that should improve black's position a lot, actually. Generally speaking, when your opponent has a bishop pair, it does make sense to try to swap off one set of bishops, so leave them with just one. And white's only real problem here now, I think, is that this knight is kind of in the way of the bishop developing. So the bishop's either going to have to go to g2 after g3 or g4, or the knight's going to have to do some dancing to play e3. I think fianchettoing the bishop makes the most sense to put pressure against e4. So black castled, white played g4. Just a nice idea, using the fact the knight's on e3 to support this guy, and also opening up the door for this move. Also now there's g5, so now it becomes kind of dynamically very interesting. Rook d8, king c3 first, just to guard the center. And now h6, trying to slow down the move g5, but of course white's going to insist on this idea. Now black goes c5 to open up the d file. This makes a ton of sense. Takes. Now if black's given some time, they would really like to play knight c6 into d4, or perhaps knight c6 into b4. That would be a very active position on either square. Bishop g2 played here, threatening g5, followed by grabbing this guy on e4. Black goes for the move rook d4, protecting the pawn, but after g5, it's still very dangerous for black, because this knight's going to get pushed back to some pretty awkward square. Not to mention that this rook on d4 is not exactly the most stable piece, as it can be chased later with a move knight c2. So this is not really a solid way of defending. So takes, knight to h7. Knight c2 is played immediately, a strong move, chasing the rook. And then after rook d7, g6, a nice move. If you were to take immediately on e4, then knight takes g5. It's still good for white, but it's not super clear. Bishop retreats from this attack. It's very strong on this diagonal, obviously. Rook is active on the h file. King's very well placed for the endgame. But g6 is getting even more because you're ruining the structure around the king. So knight g5, rook h5, attacking the knight, f6, and now f4. Very strong move. This knight is actually doomed. Basically, en passant is forced here, otherwise the knight has nowhere to go. So takes, and yeah, black is in trouble because there's really not a good way to save the knight here. f4 is coming. And, well, black can't play f5 because that hangs the knight. There's not much else they can do. One thing you might ask is what happens if a move like e5, which is what was played in the game, trying to stop f4, and hopefully you guys can see it here. I think what white did in the game is completely crushing, but there's actually a number of things you can do here. I think the most direct is just to go for this checkmate idea, which is very strong. But knight e3 was played in the game, which is also pretty terrifying if you're black, because this knight is both looking at the d5 square as well as the f5 square, and there's still this rook h1 idea on the way. So, too many threats to stop. That's why black's already in big trouble. So knight c6 was played, rook a to h1, king to f8, trying to go for a run. At this point, white could obviously play rook h8 check and go after the rook on a8, but knight f5 is very nice, just sealing the escape score. So now this check is actually a checkmate. It's always a good idea when your opponent's trying to run. If you take away their escape scores first, then you deliver the check. It's much stronger than checking right away sometimes. So knight e7 played, rook h8, knight g8. That was black's idea to have some way to block. And now finally f4 comes. And we see that white has the idea of bringing this bishop in to help support a checkmate. So okay, so e takes f, bishop d5. Rook d5 is pretty forced. Pawn takes, rook takes a2, and rook e1, a very beautiful move. Again, with the same idea as we saw earlier, just taking away the escape square here. And now after rook a8, coming back to protect, rook to e7. Rook e8 was played. And I should ask here, guys, what do you think the threat is another way to think about this position. What is white's threat if white were to be able to make another move in this position? Okay, it's a very beautiful idea. The threat is that white wants to go takes, because the knight's protecting, and then take on g8 with a nice mate where both rooks cut the king. So that's what white is doing if black sort of sits, basically, and tries to not do anything. So white has very, very direct threats. Instead, rook e8 was played, and now it's our critical moment, so it's white to play and checkmate very quickly. So hopefully you guys will solve this one. Thanks for checking this one out, and I'll see everyone tomorrow. Thank you.